Oh, yes, so much better. So today, our masterclass is Cloudy to Clear. And the whole intention is supporting you all in finding clarity, which confusion is actually the most challenging human emotion. You probably didn't need me to say that to understand that, but it actually is. It's something that people talk about and study. And so I have found several ways to find clarity with things, and I really wanted to share them with you all. So we're going to do several things today. But before we start, actually, just if you can type in the chat where you're coming from and your sun sign in astrology. Carly, I love you. I'm happy to see your face. Victoria from San Diego, you're a Sag, another fire sign. I'm a Leo, and I'm coming from Tulum, Mexico right now, and I'm so happy to be here and so grateful for this Airbnb that has dope ass Wi-Fi. So yes. Boston Pisces, Brianna. Oh, Nikita, you're in Scotland right now, and you're a Scorpio. Yes. Do you live there right now? Or are you on vacation? You live there. Oh my gosh, we're gonna need to catch up after this. My other San Diego babe, Carly, Capricorn, amazing. 2 Capricorns, Hallie from Boston. You're doing a master's there. That's amazing. I love that. Okay, awesome. Wow, we're all over the world. That's why I love Zoom and technology. Sometimes it's frustrating, but I can actually connect with people all over the world. So it's fucking amazing. Fantastic. Okay, so welcome everybody. I love that we have a pretty good variety of signs and elements too. There are 4 elements. The sun, there's the fire signs, the water signs, the earth, and the air. So we're going to talk about that today as well, and the difference and how they kind of flow together. And I'm going to show you now, I'm going to share my screen with you and kind of give you the rundown of how the class is going to go so you can be mentally prepared, and we're going to get started. If you have a notebook with you, that would be fantastic, something to write with. I will also be giving you a copy of the slides, so you will have them. There are a couple of things I'm going to ask you to write down, even though they're on the slide, because they're going to help you looking up your own chart. And then the rest of it, you can just write down things that you want to write down, and knowing that it will be sent to you later, so you don't have to be writing super fast. Okay, so sharing my screen now. So here's the class agenda. We're going to start with learning to read your natal chart. So we're going to start with astrology, and we're going to go into several aspects of astrology. We're going to go into love and relationships. So several potent aspects of your chart that will relate to love, how you like to be loved, and how you relate with others. And also kind of tapping into, could you have potential past life karma that's relating to your relationship journey in this lifetime, things like that. Healing and transformation astrology, so areas of astrology that indicate what your core wounds are, areas that you're going to be transforming in a big way in this lifetime. And then we're also going to go into life purpose and career and certain aspects of your chart that will show you what energies you have to work with in those areas as well. So that will take a while. I know it's just one bullet point here, but there's going to be several steps involved. So then we're going to take a quick 5-minute stretch break after that. And then we're going to go into a meditation right after the stretch break, teaching you how to connect with your heart and actually communicate with it. So our heart has its own consciousness, that actual organ of our body, and we can actually learn to connect with it and receive its messages. And it will respond to us. Usually for people, it's in like a visceral, physical way. So some people, for example, will have like chills on one side of the body for yes, and the other side for no, or like ringing in one ear or the other, or a feeling of like constriction in their body. So you'll actually receive some sort of response. Sometimes it can also be telepathically. So my heart actually communicates to me telepathically, like I kind of can actually have a conversation with my heart, but most people that I work with have a bodily sensation as their primary way of communication. So we'll go into that and you'll start to discover your heart's own way of communicating with you. And then we'll also do an exercise on intuition versus fear tuition and how to really distinguish between those two things in your body. And by doing like a writing exercise, sometimes they can feel the same. Then we're going to go into understanding and working with spiritual energies. So the different energies like your higher self versus your spirit guides versus angels, and what those are and what the difference is and how to work with them. And then I have a special announcement and offer for you all. And then there'll be time for questions at the end. So this is what I want you to write down. So even though you're going to receive this, I would like you guys to write this down as well so that you can have these notes when I teach you how to look up your own chart. And these are just the basic, like some basic words that are attributes about the different signs that are supportive to know. Now, it is important to write them all down because even though you know your sun sign, you may have, well, we do have every single sign in our chart. So when I teach you what your natal chart looks like, it's a circle and you have every single sign on the outside of the circle. And then there's a house, it's called, that will match that sign for you. So you actually have all of these in your chart somewhere. So it's really powerful to learn, oh, that's where I have that one. You have this energy somewhere. It could be related to your career, it could be related to your relationships. So I'll teach you how to decipher what that is. So starting with Aries, it's the first sign of the zodiac. So like technically the zodiac year starts with Aries. And this is a go-getter, initiator energy. So just like it's the first sign in astrology, it makes sense, right? Because it's the first one. It actually also rules the first house. So it's like new beginnings, fresh start. Let's go, let's do it. Very playful and childlike and energetic. My rising sign is Aries, so I can come off this way to people. And I think most of you maybe know me enough to know that that's true. I'm pretty childlike and playful and fiery, right? I'm like in your face a little bit. So that would be Aries. And I also color coded these to match the elements. So the red ones are the fire signs, and you can see they go in order. It goes fire and then earth, and then air, and then water. And it continues that way for every sign in order. So the air is the blue one. I was trying to decipher between the blue and the turquoise, but I was like, turquoise waters, blue sky. Okay, so the air is the blue and water is turquoise. And then Taurus, the bull, very stable, strong-willed, and determined. And Taurus, it's an earth sign, so you can picture like the earth signs as being very stable and grounded into the earth. Luxurious and sensual. So Taurus energy loves luxury, loves all the senses, and sometimes like overindulges in things. Then we have Gemini, an air sign. Very talkative. So this is the most talkative of all of the zodiac signs. Very adaptable. You can picture like the air of Gemini just kind of flowing around like a little social butterfly, like talking here, talking there. Very curious, very social energy. Cancer is called the mother of the zodiac. So it's a very motherly sign, and therefore it's very nurturing and protective. Although it's a water sign, so it's very emotional. All the water signs are going to be emotional. You can think of this as like water, tears, emotions. Water signs are teary and emotional. But Cancer, like I call Cancer like the honorary fire sign. Even though it's a water sign, I call it like an honorary fire sign because that protective mother energy can come out and can be like a little aggressive, like it's protecting her child. And I know this because my Venus sign is in Cancer, and we'll talk about Venus signs today, but my Venus signs are how we love people. So I am very nurturing, but then I can also be like fiery, protective, and very sensitive. Leo, that's my sun sign. Your sun sign is like your main identity, and like relates to your ego. And so Leo is ruled by the sun. So sun is like the center of the like solar system, so people can call Leo egotistical, which is true. That's something that we have to overcome. But confidence, very loyal. So Leo's the lion, very loyal, generous, and I put extra there because just over the top with things for sure. And then Virgo, earth sign, hardworking, another grounded energy, very logical and analytical, and also detail oriented. Virgos are very detail oriented. I know a tattoo artist that I've worked with, and he's like, has at least 3, maybe 5 signs in Virgo, and he's so amazing at what he does. You can see like that detail oriented energy really supports his craft. Everyone okay? Moving on to the next slide. Okay, perfect. And then these are the last 6, so there's 12 signs total. We have Libra, which is balanced. Libra is the scales, so balanced masculine and feminine energy, peaceful, kind of just knows how to keep the peace, knows how to like engage in conversation in a way that keeps everyone feeling at peace. Social and witty are other things that come to mind with Libra. Scorpio, mysterious, determined, passionate, and deep are some of the words that come to mind with Scorpio. Another water sign. Oh, yes, a lot of depth here. Determination is another big one there. Lots of passion. Sagittarius being a fire sign. Freedom is really important to a Sag. Very curious, independent, and adventurous. Capricorn is another earth sign, grounded sign, ambitious and responsible, hardworking, boss energy. Yeah, I actually know a lot of like boss CEOs who are Capricorn. Aquarius is an air sign, even though it sounds like a water sign because the word aqua is in there. But it's an air sign, but it's the water bearer. Unique and innovative, revolutionary, intellectual. Aquarius is like the most intellectual sign, but sometimes can feel a little emotionally detached because it's more on the intellect side of things. And yeah, likes to think outside of the box. Freedom is also important to Aquarians. And Pisces is the 12th sign, very intuitive, very empathic, creative, and dreamer energy. Those are some words that are related to Pisces. So these may really deeply resonate with you according to your sun sign or what you know, or they may not. And maybe that's because we have a whole other rest of our chart that isn't our sun sign. Okay, so a lot of times we can actually relate more to something else than our sun sign. So that's why it's important to learn all of these. And let me escape here. Just if you guys could write in the chat real quick, kind of your familiarity with your natal chart. So you know how to read your own chart already. You know your like sun, moon, and rising, and that's it. You know like a few placements, or you only know your sun sign. Like kind of how much have you studied so far, just so I can gauge the group. If you can just write it in the sign. Okay, perfect. Write it in the chat, I mean. Cool, I like this, people only knowing their sun. Oh, this is exciting. Cool. Wow. Yes. Oh, this just lights me the fuck up right now. That's fucking great. Okay. I love it. I love it, love it. So there's something called your big 3 in astrology. Can you just nod your head if you've heard that term, big 3, before? No, yes, yes, no, no, maybe. Okay, so your big 3 is your sun, moon, and rising. I'm not going to go into that in today's class, but I will show you how to see it in your chart. So you will know how to find it. And just to tell you, if you want to write this down as a note, because it's not in the PowerPoint, your moon sign is going to be your emotions. So this is a side of you that people don't usually see if you're just out in a social setting. It's something more that people close to you will see, or the way that you act when you're alone. So that's your moon sign. So you can kind of think of like the sun is shining during the day, kind of what everyone can see, and then the moon is at night. The moon is when it's dark outside. So it's that that more, you know, hidden side of you, but it is how you process and work through emotions. So this is a really powerful sign to look up on your own, and this can support you too when you're dealing with something emotional, because you may be like, oh, that's the reason that I pull away and detach when I'm going through something challenging and don't want to talk to anyone, because my moon is Aquarius, like me. So my sun is super social and loves to talk to people. You too, Hallie. I loves to talk to people, but when I'm home, I actually love being alone. I don't want people in my space. When I'm going through something, I want to completely detach and just like overanalyze it. And that's a very Aquarian thing to do. So moon is a really cool thing to look up. And then your rising sign, also called your ascendant. I will show you this in your chart as well. This, you do need your birth time for moon and rising. Raise your hand if you don't know your birth time. Cool, everyone brought it, awesome. So your rising is how you come off to people, especially when you first meet them. So this is kind of like a first impression energy, and kind of like not a mask that you wear, because it's definitely a part of your identity, and it's actually the most individualized sign to you, because rising signs change every couple hours. So some people say the rising sign is even like more telling than your sun sign. So I know several people. I think Carly, are you a rising Gemini? I feel like I looked up yours once and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, that makes so much sense. Yeah, you're such a rising Gemini. Yeah. So some people will be like, oh yeah, like that's definitely more of how I act socially around people. So we'll see. That's another one to look up too. So that's your big three: sun, moon, and rising. People call your big three. And then I'm going to teach you a little bit about the houses now, and I want you to pay attention in my slides. You don't have to write these down, the next ones, just kind of be with me and pay attention, because you will notice that there's actually, they're all related. So the signs, the houses, and the planets are all connected. One sign is connected to a house, which is connected to a planet. So I color coded them, and I'll be explaining more in depth what I mean here. So let me just screen share again. And if you need me to stop, just unmute yourself and let me know for some reason, because I can't see the chat when I screen share. Okay, cool. So these are the houses, and you will receive this. You don't need to write them down, like I said. But the first house, it's the first one of the whole chart. And this relates to you. So you can think of like, first, I am number one. This is my self-image. This is my personality. This is all things related to me and how I view myself, and also new beginnings energy. Now, this is red. And the reason I color coded it was so that you can see Aries is red, and it's the first sign of the zodiac. So this means that Aries rules the first house. So every sign is a ruler of a house. There's 12 signs and there's 12 houses. So they're all going to be matched up. They're all going to go in order. Aries, the first one on the previous here, is going to match up with the first house. And I'll show you what a house is. It's basically a piece of the pie. So I'm going to show you the full circle of a chart, and it has 12 slivers of the pie, and each sliver is called a house. And within that, you'll see different planets, and you'll see what sign your house is. But the traditional ruler of each house is in order here. So the second house rules money, possessions, and self-worth. The second house is related to Taurus. So you can see Taurus is luxurious, stable. Those energies kind of relate to money, possessions, and self-worth. The third house is communication, intellect, and siblings. So third house is the house of communication and ruled by Gemini, which is the most talkative, communicative sign. So they do relate. The energies definitely relate. Cancer is the motherly, protective, nurturing sign, which rules the fourth house of family, home life, and emotions. Cancer is emotional and motherly. So you can see the ties here. Fifth house, ruled by Leo, rules pleasure, creativity, and also children. Leo is very playful, creative, pleasureful. Sixth house is ruled by Virgo, and this relates to physical health and diet and daily tasks. And Virgo is usually very like organized, detail oriented, so, and also grounded. So, you know, sixth house relates to the body and actual tasks that you do to keep everything in order and keep your life in order. Seventh house, we're going to talk about today more in depth. Seventh house is the house of relationships. So this is really powerful to find out what sign you have that rules your seventh house. And if you have any planets in your seventh house, that's really insightful as well. For example, I have Pluto in my seventh house, and I'll explain to you that Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth and transformation. So I've had a lot of relationships, a lot of them, and it's transforming me every single time. But it hasn't been an easy ride. And most people who have Pluto in their seventh house have some past life karma with relationships and not respecting their boundaries. So very insightful stuff. Seventh house rules relationships, marriage, and also business partnerships. So it's like the house of partnership in different forms. Eighth house rules sex, joint possessions. This is a weird, misunderstood house because it's a weird collection of things. Sex, joint possession, possessions, taxes, death, and rebirth. So the eighth house is related to Scorpio, and it's more of like, Scorpio is like a transformation energy because it's ruled by Pluto. So that transformation, death, and rebirth is in the eighth house. And also, yeah, like a sexual energy is in there as well. Ninth house is ruled by Sag. Philosophy and religion and spirituality live in there a little bit too. Wisdom and travel, world travel and things like that are inside of the ninth house. 10th house, which we will talk about more today, is career. So this is why we're going to go into 10th house. Career, status, and reputation. So your 10th house is how the world sees you and like how you look in the public eye. 11th house is community, friends. Who's this pet we have? Oh my God, hi baby. Oh my goodness. Welcome. Hi. Oh my gosh, we have a whole crew. That warms my heart. I love it. I put on my AC. The more the merrier. 11th house, community, friends, and humanitarian interests. And this is ruled by Aquarius. Aquarius is a humanitarian sign. And, or 10th house, I didn't mention, I don't think is ruled by Capricorn, which is that boss energy. It has to do with like kind of, you know, career and status. Makes sense. And then 12th house, Pisces, the subconscious mind, karmic debts, and spirituality. Okay. So those are the houses. And then this is where I tie them all together with the planets. So like I said, there's a planet that relates to each house, which relates to each sign. So Mars is the ruler of the first house, which is ruled by Aries, which means that Aries is ruled by Mars. So each sign has a planetary ruler, it's called, a planet that rules it. So Aries is ruled by Mars. So finding out about Mars is really insightful to people who have Aries energy. Mars rules sex and aggression. So Mars, for men, especially, is a really important sign to find out when you're dating them, because this is how they are sexually and aggressively, and it also relates to how they are in relationships as well. Mars is considered like the divine masculine, and Venus is like the divine feminine. So Mars, I always like to find that out for the people that I'm seeing or potentially interested in, to see if their Mars and my Venus are compatible. Venus, the more divine feminine energy here, and Venus is the ruler of love, beauty, and money. So we're going to be talking about Venus more today because this is how we love others and how we like to be loved in return. So this is really important for relationships. Also important to note here, love, beauty, and money. So isn't it interesting that money and love are in the same house and attached to the same planet? There's actually much more of a link between money and love than we think. And actually our attachment styles to love relates to our attachment style to money. Can you raise a hand if you've ever heard of an attachment style and know what that is? Okay, a little bit. Okay, excuse me. An attachment style, I would write this down. This is actually really important stuff to look up too in terms of relating to others and romantic relationships. Your attachment style is related to your childhood, and it's how you relate to others. So there's secure attachment, which means that for some reason your childhood didn't evoke any sort of atypical attachment style in you. I shouldn't say atypical. It's kind of rare for people to have secure attachment, in my opinion, in my world. But a lot of us have a different attachment style, which can be something like dismissive, avoidant, or anxious. I'm going to give you an example of anxious attachment because I feel like it's a very common one. Someone who is anxiously attached and is in relationship is going to like kind of cling to the other person. It's when you become codependent with the other person, and if they're not answering you back in a certain amount of time, you might start to feel some anxiety. Or if they start to pull away or they're acting different, you start to get anxious and you start to kind of want to cling on more. That's anxious attachment. And that relates to how we are with money too. So I know, like, historically have anxious attachment. I've had to heal my attachment style. Anxious attachment comes from one of your parents or more than one, being kind of an inconsistent energy in your life, oftentimes related to an abandonment wound, which I have. And so because of that, I had anxious attachment. I didn't even know why I would feel so anxious when someone wasn't messaging me back or something like that, and feel really codependent in relationships. And it relates to money as well. So I realized that I actually have kind of an anxiously attached relationship to money. I'm afraid that when I get it, it's going to leave me soon as well. It's all related to that abandonment. So I think it's kind of interesting that Venus rules love and money, and there's more of a tie between the two than we realized. So healing our attachment style, which is a psychological concept, something you can do with coaching or therapy. A coach who's familiar with attachment styles in psychology, or with a therapist, can heal your relationship to money as well. And just everything, attachment to possessions. I used to be like a hoarder. It's all kind of related to each other. So then there's dismissive avoidant, which is the other more common attachment style. And that's kind of the opposite. So that a lot of times there's an anxiously attached and a dismissive avoidant attached, and they are kind of like attracted to each other like magnets. And it makes for a challenging dynamic because the dismissive avoidant wants to pull away when things get too much. They emotionally detach. This usually relates to like an absent parent. In childhood as well, they both relate to having some sort of absent parent. And or just, it doesn't even have to be physically absent, but just the way that they showed up for you. And because of that, they'll pull away. And so then the anxiously attached person will want to cling more because they're pulling away so they don't feel safe. And then the dismissive avoidant person is like, ah, because they're the opposite. So I've done this dance. This is also, I think, I've done this dance as a Leo, dating Aquarians often. We are the polar opposite of the zodiac. And I tend to find that Aquarians are more on the dismissive avoidant side because they're more emotionally detached. And then me as a Leo with the Cancer moon, I'm just like, hey, don't forget about me. So something to look into if that's like ringing a bell for you at all, or feeling like, oh, maybe I do have one of those attachment styles. Look into that because that definitely is affecting your relationships. Okay, I digress. So Mercury is the planet of communication, and the third house is the house of communication, and Gemini is the most communicative sign. Also, Virgo is also ruled by Mercury. The moon rules our emotions. I told you about your moon sign. Cancer is emotional, fourth house. Sun rules your personality and ego, and it's ruled by Leo. Oh, I meant to write Leo. I'm going to change that after. And fifth house. Pluto, eighth house Scorpio, the planet of transformation. Jupiter is the planet of luck and expansion. We're going to talk about Jupiter today. Saturn is the planet of structure and discipline. I don't know if you've ever heard of a Saturn return. Hand up if you've heard that. Okay. The Saturn return is usually between the ages of 28 and 31, which I think all of us here have gone through it by now. Or maybe you're in it now. This period of time, your Saturn is coming back to where it was when you were born for the very first time. So think about this. Saturn is pretty far from the sun. It's one of the outer planets. So it takes a while to go around the sun. It actually takes about 28 years. So wherever Saturn was when you were born, it took 28 years for it to get back to that place. And that's called your Saturn return. During this time, it's like a 3-year period in your life, you experience a lot of transformation. This planet, Saturn, is about structure and discipline, so it kind of just smacks you into shape. Like whatever you weren't facing head on, it's just like, here you go, you have to deal with this right now. Take responsibility for this, and it's always to put you on the right path, but sometimes it does so in a hard way. So it really depends how much you've been listening to your intuition so far and like following your heart. And if you haven't, usually this can be kind of like an incubator time, an overwhelming time for people. So if it's already happened to you, I would kind of reflect on that time period of your life and be like, ooh, what shifted for me during that time? And if you might be in it now, me showing you how to read your chart can tell you what area of your life you're probably receiving the most or experiencing the most transformation. Because, for example, my Saturn is in my 10th house of career. During my Saturn return, I changed careers. That's what happened. So they do relate. And here we have Uranus, the planet of uniqueness, reform, also rules technology. Aquarius rules technology and uniqueness, 11th house. And then Neptune rules Pisces, water and the subconscious. There are 3 starred ones here, and if you want to write this down, the reason that Scorpio, Aquarius, and Pisces have an asterisk is because when these signs were first discovered, the planets of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto hadn't been discovered yet. So there's what's called the traditional ruler. These signs also have another planet that traditionally rules them, because this is the planet that like a long time ago, they would say ruled it. So the energies of both apply. So for Aquarius, the traditional ruler is Saturn. So if you're looking up Aquarius energy, you can look up Uranus and Saturn. They both relate. So yeah, Aquarius traditional ruler is Saturn. For Pisces, the traditional ruler is Jupiter. So Pisces energy is going to relate to both Neptune and Jupiter. Pisces, Jupiter, and Neptune. And then Scorpio's traditional ruler is Mars. So Scorpio is going to relate to Mars energy as well as this Pluto energy. Scorpio, Mars, Pisces, Jupiter, Aquarius, Saturn. Okay. This is a lot of information. I understand that. So you're not supposed to have this retained already. I just wanted to give you a basic rundown so you have a little bit of background before I pull up a chart and show you how to read a chart. But it takes, like, you should not have this memorized. or fully understand it. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background, okay? So it's supposed to feel overwhelming. That's okay, I'm gonna help you. Now we're gonna peep a natal chart. I'm gonna show you my chart, and then I will show you how to pull up your own in a few minutes as well, and I'll give you time to do that. So let me just go here. And what you're gonna do, oh, actually one more thing. I wanted to show you a zodiac wheel, it's called. I want you to write this down as well because I want you to look this up on your own computer. I didn't want to take one of their images and put it in my PowerPoint. But all you have to do is just look up zodiac wheel. The reason it's cool to look up the wheel is because you can see which signs oppose each other. So the opposing signs are like polar opposite energies. Like I had mentioned before, I've dated a lot of Aquarius energy. Aquarius is the polar opposite of Leo. So we're actually two poles that magnetically attract each other, but we also are the polar opposite. So it can be challenging to relate to someone who's your polar opposite, even though there's a lot of chemistry. So that's why this is cool to look at. Oh, I might be opposing this person, or where you are, I'm right next to this person's sign, for example. And the wheel will look like this. And another reason to pull this up is because these symbols are relevant. So these symbols are going to be on your natal chart, and you probably won't know what they mean yet. So it's nice to have this pulled up on the side just so that you can interpret the symbols. So when it's time, I'll teach you how to look up your own chart, and then you can pull up a zodiac wheel as well in another tab so that you can have all of that ready for you. Okay, cool. So here are the symbols here. I kind of think of Leo as like the tail, like the lion tail. I also think of it as my pixel whip. I don't know if you guys have seen me like dancing with this light up whip, but my friend, I call it my unicorn tail. And then I'm like, oh my God, the Leo symbol is my unicorn tail. So this is me. Then we have Virgo, Libra. You can kind of tell it looks like scales a little bit. Scorpio, I can remember because of the little like thing at the bottom here. It's like the little stinger of the scorpion. Sag is all about like freedom, so it's kind of like an arrow to go. Capricorn, don't really know how to interpret that one. Aquarius is the water bearer, so you can kind of think of that as waves. Pisces, like a fish. Aries, you can see like the ram there. Taurus is the bull. Gemini is the twins, so you can tell this one is kind of two parallel. And then Cancer is the crab, kind of looks like it. So they somewhat resemble once you get the hang. And then what I'm going to have you do in a few minutes is go to astro.com, but not yet. But when you go, I wanted to show you what you're going to do. So you're going to have to like register yourself for free with an email and password and your birth info. And then I did that already. Actually, no, I deleted mine just so I can show you how to do it. So once you log in, you go to My Astro. And then you're going to add new Astro data. And this is where you put your birth info. So you can put yours in here, and then you can put as many people as you want. So on my other account, I have so many people because I do this for work, and that's why I didn't pull it up on this call. But you can keep their data stored, which is kind of cool. So you're going to add new Astro data, and it's just going to ask for your birth info. So I'm going to put Kelsey Marie. 6th of August, 1990, 10 p.m., which I love is actually 22. All about the 22s lately. Military time. And then this is you're gonna wait for this to like pull up options. It's gonna have a drop-down menu that will pull up like a city-state situation. You wanna click that. And then continue. And then it's gonna be down here as soon as you add the Astro data. So then you're just going to click on it. And then what you're going to do to look at your chart is right here, chart drawing. You're going to click on that. It's going to pull up your chart. So this is what a natal chart looks like. You can also click on it and it'll open in a new tab and you can zoom in. So this is my chart. The signs or the symbols for the planets are right next to the names of the planets. So that's nice that they have that for you here. But as you can see, it's a big circle with pieces of the pie. You can ignore the blue and red lines for now. Those are called aspects. We're not going to get into that on today's call. That's a more advanced aspect of astrology, but do pay attention to the black lines. Those are separating your houses. So you can see this little number 1, this piece of the pie would be your first house. This piece of the pie is your second house. And it goes all the way to 12. Just like there's 12 signs, there's 12 houses, so you'll have 12 pieces of the pie. So far, does that make sense? Just a nod. Okay, cool. On the outside, you have the symbols that I showed you over here on the zodiac wheel. Those are the signs. So these relate to what signs, what energy you have in your houses. So sometimes you will only have one sign in your house. You will only have one energy. And sometimes you'll have multiple. For example, my first house, I have Aries and Taurus energy. As you can see, this is a sign for Aries and Taurus. And again, you can just refer to the zodiac wheel if you don't know these symbols. You can also see that in some of the houses, there's little symbols in here. Those symbols are for the planets and things like that. So you can see that this, you can go over here. What is that? Oh, that's my Mars. So my Mars is in my first house. And that tells you something as well. Wait, hold on. Oh yeah, Mars and Taurus. Yeah, that is correct. Then I can say, oh, I have 2 things in my 4th house. This and this. What are those? Oh, that's my Venus. And then this K, circle K, is Chiron, it's called, and it's spelled right here. We're going to talk about that today more in depth. That's an important one. It's called your wounded healer, but I will explain that. This is a symbol for Jupiter. This is your sun. So your sun sign that you guys all know, it will look like this, and you'll be like, yep, I knew my sun was in Leo, but I didn't know what house it was in. Oh, my sun is in my 5th house. That can tell me something. So I'm going to go into some of these aspects with you in detail related to love, relationships, luck, career. But just know that once you know how to read your basic natal chart, you can look all of it up. Like say, and I like to do it when it's relevant in my life because it's too much to study all at once. It's so much. So what I like to do is say, oh, I'm interested in how my moon is affecting me. I process emotions differently than my sun, and that's intriguing me. Something inside of me is telling me maybe that would be helpful for me to learn about myself. So after class, you can just focus on the moon. Okay, my moon is in Aquarius and it's in the 11th house. And then you can just search online. What does it mean to have your moon in your 11th house? Do a search, look for at least 3 articles to make sure they're saying the same thing, just in case you get a weird article. Most of the resources are pretty good though. So I like to look at least 3 just to make sure, cross-check, but just look that up. And it's really insightful to learn this stuff. So once you know the basics, you can do more research on your own in that area of your life, or maybe you want to learn more about your Mars sign, and you can look that up after class. Oh, what does it mean to have my Mars, my sex and aggression in my 1st house? Look that up online too. Okay. And again, all the symbols here, you can see in my 10th house of career, I have a lot of energy. One of them is Saturn though. Saturn is the one that whips you into shape. So my Capricorn energy here, I've had to get whipped into shape with that baby. It was like, you better be organized. You better be disciplined, because you need that energy to fulfill your destiny in your career. So my Saturn return, I changed careers and became an entrepreneur, and it's been a ride. You can see in my 7th house, I have my Pluto in Scorpio. That's fun. Another thing to note, and you can see here too, this can help you learn the signs. It does give you an abbreviated word of what the sign is. So as long as you know, like CAN is Cancer, then you'll know this must be the sign for Cancer because Jupiter is here. If that makes sense. And then AC, that's your rising sign. So when you look this up on your own, this little point, AC, which stands for ascendant, that's your rising sign. So that's just a point on our chart that separates the 12th and the 1st house. So my 12th and 1st house are separated right here in the sign of Aries. That's why my rising sign, my AC, is Aries. Did that make sense? Yeah, awesome. Okay. So much that you can study here. But I want to give you guys a second to pull up your own chart if you're able, because I'm going to move into some specific things about relationships, career, love, and love expansion. And I want you to be able to kind of look at your own. And you also have those notes that talk about the different signs that will help you as well. So what you're going to do is go to astro.com, astro.com. And you're going to log in just like I just showed you. So it's going to be like up here. You're going to be making your free account. And you're going to add your account info in there. And then you're going to go to add new Astro data. So just unmute yourself and let me know if you're having trouble. And I'm going to give you guys, I think, 5 minutes to do that. So now that you have that, I'm actually going to go back here and start talking to you about these placements now that you can look at what yours is on your chart and you have the notes about that sign's energy. Okay, Venus is what we're gonna start with. Venus is the love planet. So your Venus, and you can find it, find the little symbol for Venus on your chart, and you're gonna want to write down what your Venus is in and what house it's in. So what sign and what house? And again, just let me know if you need support with that, but wave or unmute if you can't. And right now I can't see one of you, so maybe you just unmute yourself. Yeah.
Is Venus the one with the circle and then the down plus sign?
Yep. Let me go. So Venus, yeah. Venus. So how you can figure it out is by going over here. This is going to show you what they look like. So on the left side, when you pull up your chart, it's going to say like all of the planets and then their symbol. So I know it's a little small, but yes, the circle with the little plus underneath it is the sign for Venus, and you can see it right over here. So always reference this little chart. So this is how I would find mine. I go over here. What does Venus look like? Okay, it looks like that. Let me find it in my chart. Oh, here it is. It's in the 4th piece of the pie. So it's in my 4th house. And then make sure you pay attention to where the piece of the pie ends. So as you can see, I have a line between my 4th and 5th house right here. And my Jupiter is in Cancer as well, but it's in the 5th house in Cancer because it's within the bounds of Cancer, but it's not making it into the 4th house on my chart. So that's important to note as well. Pay attention to these black lines here and these black lines here as well. So I have 3 planets or 3 entities, Chiron isn't a planet, in Cancer, but 2 of them are in my 4th house and 1 of them is in my 5th house. Does that make sense? Is that clear? Okay. And just unmute yourself if you couldn't find your Venus. Okay, so going back here, why Venus is important today. So this is how you love others and the qualities that you're attracted to in others. So if you go back to the notes that you wrote at the beginning of class and you see what sign your Venus is in, you can start to gain some insights into how you love others and the qualities that you're attracted to. Of course, I only used 4 main words there, but I want you to look this up more in depth on your own after class. Do some research. Again, find 3 articles on it, make sure they match, and you're going to read up on your Venus sign. Also, if you're in relationship, their Venus sign as well. See how those energies relate to each other. Also consider the elements, okay? So if you think of the elements, fire and air flow really well together. Air amplifies fire. So sometimes people get more fiery when you add fire and air, but those two elements do really complement each other. Water and earth also really complement each other. So if one of you is a water sign and one of you is an earth sign, you know, the water waters the soil. They're very complementary signs. If you have a fire and a water, it doesn't mean that you can't coexist. There's some beautiful relationships with those, but you can just see how sometimes like the water can put out the fire, so to speak. So consider that too. And yeah, study this on your own. So for me, my Venus is in Cancer. Cancer is motherly and nurturing, and like historically, I was codependent and I was kind of like motherly to my partners. I wanted to help them. I wanted to take care of them. I was mothering them. And I had kind of that anxious attachment, which I find can relate to Cancer energy. And it can relate to qualities you're attracted to. Like I am actually attracted to Cancers and Cancer energy to a large degree. And it relates to love languages. I don't know if you've heard of love languages, but if you're having a challenging time in relationship, or actually, even if you're not having a challenging time, really cool to look up your love language. There's a love languages online quiz that's free, the 5 love languages. Definitely look that up. There's a book as well, but you can take the quiz for free. And there's acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation, gift giving, excuse me, and what's the other one? Acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation, gift giving, and physical touch. Those are the 5 love languages. So you can take the quiz and it'll actually tell you what percentage of each love language you have and which one is your predominant love language. Our love languages have to do often with how we were loved growing up, or something that happened when we were a child that caused us to receive love or not receive love in a certain way. For example, I've been involved with people who like were never told I love you as a child. And so they don't use words of affirmation as a love language because they never were taught that that's how you love people. My primary love language is words of affirmation. If you write me a love letter or you like tell me all these specific compliments about myself, that makes me feel so loved and amazing. And my mom was very vocal about those things growing up too. So it makes sense. That's how I received love. I received a lot of praise growing up and was told I love you a lot. So your Venus sign can give you an indication into your love language, but also looking up your love language is really powerful. And talking to your partner or potential partner, hey, this is my love language, having them look up what their love language is. This is how we both receive love, and it might not be the way that we give it. So how can we learn to speak this person's love language to them so that they can feel the love that we have for them? Because a lot of times that can be a cause of challenge, is just a misalignment in love languages. One of my most recent like serious partners, he was acts of service, and we realized he had a very narrow range of things that actually registered to him as acts of service. And one of them was cleaning. And I know that can sound like silly, but I think it's just kind of the household he grew up in. Like that's just kind of like the energy around it. And I'm not someone who's going to go around cleaning the surfaces on the day-to-day. Okay. I see one of you laughing who knew me as a child. Okay. I had the worst bedroom you will have ever seen in your life. It looked like a bomb went off. And I've had to learn how to be organized and clean. Also relates to my ADHD. But like I wasn't speaking that love language. It had nothing to do with not loving this person. I didn't even know that he received love that way. And then when we talked about it, I was like, oh yeah, no wonder you're not feeling love. I don't do any of that shit. I just tell you I love you every day and you're just like, love you too. But like he doesn't receive love like that. So really, really important thing, insightful thing to discover. And then I mentioned attachment styles here, money and love. Very interesting to see the relationship between those. If you don't have a secure attachment style, are you living in scarcity? Are you afraid of losing money? Are you afraid of not having enough money? Are you living in that mindset as well? Healing your attachment style can help you with your relationship to money as well. So this is very insightful, can bring a lot of clarity. If your Venus signs are not compatible, this can be really telling, and it can help you learn how they want to be loved and how they do love, and also shows you things that you're attracted to. So really like go inward and say like, oh yeah, I am attracted. Like my Venus is in Cancer. I really do like when someone like showers me with love. I do. It takes, well, there has been one instance where I was kind of smothered, but it takes a lot for me to feel smothered. And that's okay. This is in your chart. This is a part of you. Like, you don't have to like try to fix it or change it. Know that this is something that you were born with, and like there is a perfect match out there for you who, like, I shouldn't say perfect, but it's not wrong of you to like these things and have these love languages. There's a way to find someone who can balance this for you, and to talk to your partner and just really talk to them and let them know what you need and what you desire and the way that you want to be loved. And then it's up to them to show up or not, right? But you can at least put in the effort and have a deeper understanding of each other's love style. Then we have the seventh house. So I want you to go to your chart and look at the seventh slice of the pie. And write down which sign rules that house. So what that symbol is on the outside. And also if there's any planets inside of your seventh piece of the pie, write that down as well. The seventh house is the house of partnerships, which I already shared. So it includes business, but also romantic partnerships and marriages. So a lot of us will have two signs for that house. There is another way that some astrologers do astrology. There's something called whole sign charts. Some astrologers like compute a chart where it shifts everything so that one sign matches one chart and that's it. And some people swear by that method. I personally strongly prefer this method because it was really insightful for me when I realized that I had two energies in my house and not just one. Because if you have like the CoStar app, for example, which a lot of people have, it doesn't tell you that. It doesn't show you this. It doesn't show you how it's broken up. It doesn't show you every house. It only shows you the houses that have planets. And it doesn't show you which, if you have two signs in a house, it uses whole sign charts. So it just tells you one. I was really like mind blown. My eyes were opened when I looked at the chart this way, because I was like, oh my gosh, I knew that I had seventh house Libra, but I didn't know that I had a little sliver of Scorpio in there. And I've definitely acted out of my Scorpio in relationships. That makes so much sense. So to me, it was really empowering and also supported me in understanding myself more when I knew that I had both energies. So that's why I prefer this form and not whole sign charts. There's also, yeah, there's more to it, but we're gonna not go into that. We're going to move forward past Venus here and seventh house. And we're going to go into the areas of healing. Let's speed it up a little bit here. So Chiron is the circle K. And this represents your core wound. This can relate to past lives as well. A lot of past life wounds kind of come with us into this lifetime and continue with us in this lifetime, because this is a lifetime where we are meant to actually heal this wound that has been causing like karmic challenges in all of our past. So my Chiron is in Cancer. So my core wound is like an abandonment wound related to the home, related to a parent, and relating to kind of that needy energy. So it makes sense for me. So this is something to look up for yourself. This is where you have a wound. This is probably, something that's an area that's caused you distress or challenges in your relationships oftentimes. Something that is holding you back in your life, but that you're meant to overcome. So this can be insightful. Where this is, say your Chiron is in your 10th house of career, your career may be challenging for a reason. You may be meant to be in this lifetime to overcome that energy and take control of your career in this lifetime. Maybe that was something that's harder for you before. For me, like I said, it's related to family, parental stuff, kind of healing that codependent energy relates to my Chiron in Cancer, healing my codependency. So this is insightful to learn about you and to learn about a potential partner or love interest, kind of what they're going through within their life, what's their core wound. Because when you're in a relationship, you're dating the person's wounds. Your core wound is dating their core wound. And the way that we actually try to heal these is by dating partners, subconsciously choosing a partner who we know is going to bring some of this to the surface. So we can do a lot of healing alone, and then it comes a time where like a partnership is appropriate. And when we're in a partnership, they're going to bring up those areas that you didn't heal alone, or you weren't able to heal when you were alone, because you needed a partner, a representation of a parent usually, to be present and to show you the wounds that are still not healed. So that's why relationships are the most challenging thing that I think we experience in our entire lives oftentimes, is because the point of it is to actually support us in healing our wounds. That is the point. And we usually choose partners who bring those to light. So instead of being in I don't know if they're the right person for me, that's definitely a consideration. Maybe they're not, but also consider like, where is my wounding at play here? What is my core wound and how am I bringing it to this relationship? What's their wound? How are they bringing it to this relationship? Can we support each other in healing that? Are these just, or are we just going in circles and it just keeps happening and we're not getting anywhere? Then maybe that's time to take space from the relationship. But if it's still the beginning stages of that, how can you become more present to what's actually going on within both of you? Because it doesn't have to do with you, and it has everything to do with their core wounds that are coming into the relationship, and usually their childhood trauma that's coming into the relationship. So is your partner willing to address that? Is your partner willing to seek support with that? Are you willing to support each other? Do you want to? Those are things to ask yourself. Pluto is another placement I want you to find in your chart, the planet of death and rebirth, the planet of transformation. I had mentioned earlier that mine is in my 7th house of relationships. So that is like the biggest area of transformation in my life. And that's how I'm able to coach people and support people in this area, because I have had so much death and rebirth and transformation in relationships. So these planets can also relate to our purpose, because oftentimes we support others with people with things that were super challenging for us. Our biggest pain can become our biggest purpose, our biggest power. And that was the case for me. So I transformed relationship after relationship after relationship, worked on my core wound, my Cancer energy, my Chiron, my Pluto. I was just transforming relationships, transforming my abandonment wound, blah, blah, blah. And now I'm able to coach. So these are really insightful parts of your chart to consider. Where are you meant to transform in this lifetime? You cannot really get around that, but you can look at it as an empowering thing. Like, you're going to have huge growth in this area. You're meant to overcome something that's been with you possibly for lifetimes in this area of Pluto. And then I'm going to go into your South Node. I know I'm speeding up a little bit here, but for the sake of time, all of these things, whatever like lights you up or makes you like, oh my gosh, that's hitting the nail on the head, or that seems relevant, I want you to look it up after class soon, because that's where your soul wants you to look. But these are just lots of areas to consider. South Node. Okay, I actually have an entire 45-minute class on the South Node and the North Node. So if you sign up for or have signed up for my mailing list, it gets sent to you automatically. So you already have it. But I am going to talk a little bit about it today. So your South Node indicates your past life karma that you brought with you into this life. We find this by looking at the North Node and finding the opposite, because it's going to be the opposite sign and the opposite house. So the North Node, I'm going to show you. Your North Node looks like this. And it's also True Node on your chart, which is the second to last one. True Node. But I'm going to call it the North Node. And it looks like this guy. Has like a little T in the middle of it. So I can see that my North Node is in my 11th house in Aquarius. So that means I just go across. The opposite of the 11th would be the 5th. Opposite of 12th would be 6th. You can also use your zodiac wheel to find the opposites. So that means that my South Node is 5th house and my South Node is Leo. So that's how you find your South Node, finding the opposite. So first you find your North Node. That's in your chart. You can see it says true node Aquarius, 11th house here. Opposite is, this is Leo, this is the 5th house. So I came into this life with karma that's related to being a Leo in the 5th house. Oh, guess what? My son is in Leo in the 5th house in this life. So it literally brought me into the same thing. You're a Leo again, and your son is in your 5th house again. So how are you going to move past the karma around this, which is like being egotistical? Like if people who have South Node in Leo, oftentimes were like royal in a past life and abused it. So I have some karma around that I'm balancing in this life. And here we go. So I move on here to the North Node, which is the opposite, because now this was healing. South Node has to do with healing as well. And then we're going to go into purpose. North Node is purpose. So your South Node is your karma. Your North Node is your dharma. Dharma is a word for purpose. So what we're supposed to do is actually take the karmic energy we have, use the positive, empowering aspects of that. So what are the more negative aspects of Leo? Being overly egotistical, full of yourself, and kind of bossing others around. Those are the negative aspects. And a lot of times we can resonate with our South Node because we actually had that energy in a past life. So we're really familiar and comfortable with that energy. I'm really comfortable with my South Node of Leo. I love being a Leo, and I was so bossy as a child. Makes so much sense. Now, as we grow up, I see the person who knew me in childhood laughing. As we grow up, we start to transform that. So I am not like bossy, like I'm able to use my leadership Leo skills, which are the empowering aspects of Leo, and not be bossing people around. So that's kind of the opposite. Leo can be bossy and egotistical, or Leo can be confident and in a place of power, but not from bossing people around, if that makes sense. So you're supposed to take the positive aspects of that sign with you into your North Node. So my life purpose, my dharma, my North Node is in Aquarius, which is humanitarian. So Leo is all about myself, my ego. The opposite of Aquarius is all about helping others. So my North Node, my dharma, my purpose is about helping others, being a humanitarian. And Aquarius also rules technology. So my North Node is about using technology to help others, which is literally what I'm doing right now. Kind of crazy how perfect it is. So I'm in my dharma now. So I really recommend Karen M. Black's online resources, and this is in my little mini masterclass when you sign up for my mailing list as well. But I'll just show you how awesome her resources are for this. So Karen M. Black, North Node Aquarius. You would just type in something like that. You can also do the house, and she should come right up. And she takes you through this 3-step process. It'll say a little, like North Node is your life purpose and mission, which I already told you. And she'll give you step 1, step 2, and step 3. Step 1 is appreciating the talents of that sign. So inspired leadership, a sunny outlook on life, those are things that come naturally to me. How can I embody those highest Leo aspects? I'm enthusiastic, I'm bright, I'm sunny. Those are things I want to take with me. I don't want to forget them. But step 2 is own your karma. Be careful not to be bossy, needy of attention, or drama queen. I definitely was like this, and I had to learn not to be. So these are things, and then it says in past lives, you might have been this. Like I might have been royalty and had servants. I might have been a performer or childlike adult who refused to grow up. That's my karma. And step 3 is step into your mission. So I'm a visionary for humanity. These are things that I'm meant to do in this lifetime, and it talks about it here. So I really love her resources, and this can really support you in figuring out what energies your dharma are around and what you're meant to use in this lifetime to balance your karma. So this is really cool. But yes, I have a whole free course on that you can just get by signing up on my website for my email list. And if you haven't received it, I can resend it. So just let me know. But it does automatically send when you sign up. So there's that. That's why I'm not spending too much time on that. More in purpose, okay? So North Node is where we start our astrology for purpose, our dharma. Jupiter is my favorite planet, and also the 10th house. These are really powerful placements if you're kind of confused about like what you're doing with your career or what your purpose might be. These are really helpful. So Jupiter is the planet of luck and expansion. And this means that when you act out of this energy that is your Jupiter sign, which is the little 4 looking one on your chart, the universe rewards you. You have luck around this. The universe wants you to embody this energy and utilize this in your life. And the universe is going to reward you when you do utilize that energy, and it will expand you when you utilize that energy. So for me, my Jupiter is in Cancer. I have a lot of Cancer energy in my chart. And so here's my Cancer and my 5th house. So for me, when I'm acting out of the 5th house, which for me is Leo, but the 5th house, you have it previously in the slides, you will have it. The 5th house is about like creativity and play and pleasure. When I'm in a space of creativity, play, and pleasure, I get rewarded by the universe. The universe, because my Jupiter's in there, the universe is like, yes, more of that. You created from a space of pleasure, fuck yeah. People are gonna want this content. People are gonna want to come to your class. This is how the universe wants you to show up, by being playful. And the 5th house even rules partying and gambling. The universe is like, if you can find a way to do this in a healthy way and just be super playful, even going to festivals, like you actually, this is like good energy for you, for me. And for Cancer, Cancer is helping others. Cancer is being nurturing and motherly to others. Cancer is the home and yeah, taking care of people, coming from the heart. And so when I'm supporting other people from my heart space and caring for them, which is what I do in my work, I'm rewarded by the universe. The universe wants me in this energy. So that's a really cool planet to find out about. And then your 10th house as well. 10th house is your career and how you're seen by others in the world. So I have a lot going on in there, as I showed you guys earlier. I have Capricorn energy, which is funny because I remember my bosses always used to tell me, you're so organized. I would like get that compliment. And in my mind, I'm like, what? I do not feel organized, but I present that way actually in the work space. So however you are in your 10th house is how other people see you, but this is especially in the workplace. Like I do kind of come off a different way when I'm in a job. My 10th house energy is different. I act like Capricorn. I do like want to have my shit together, so to speak. I do my best to be like organized and prompt, and I like that's the way I show up. But if you were with me at a festival, that wouldn't be your experience of me. If you were with me at a party, you wouldn't be like, she's so organized, you know, like you have to, like, I have that energy with the workplace. So and this is how other people see you in that space as well. So notice if you have any planets, again, any planets in the 10th house will be worth looking into. I have 3. Mind blowing, honestly, to look these up. Really, really insightful to look these up. And my Capricorn energy, the universe is like ready for me to be boss energy, boss CEO energy. It was hard for me. Saturn's there to kind of smack me around, but that's where I'm going. And I'm also going with my North Node into this humanitarian field as well within that. So make sure to look all of that up. Really, really insightful stuff. So I mentioned this already. What made you smile or gasp to discover? What excited you? Learn about that. So astrology is a tool to learn more about your truest self. It's not to mold you into what it says. So some people like diss on astrology because they're like, well, you could just read it and like make it be true for you. No, 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 no. If you read your whole chart, you can't just make the whole thing be you. Like you're gonna read parts and you're gonna be like, holy shit, that is really me. I didn't just go like this and change my entire self. I really resonate with that. And it's a tool to learn about your truest self. So you're going to read through it and you're going to find things that jump out at you and you're going to feel it in your body that that feels true to you. And when you feel it in your body that that's true to you, that means that your body is telling you, your intuition is telling you, your bodily senses are telling you, study that. Because even though you already know that about yourself, if you study this more deeply, there's something, a deeper truth that wants to be revealed right now, that wants you to study more of. And that's what you're going to investigate. Okay, so do a little more research on your own, and you're going to find some clarity for sure. Of course, I don't have time for all of us to research everything in depth right now, but you have the tools to be able to do this, and you'll know where to look and what to look at. Even if you already knew this about yourself, you might have not been considering how it's at play in your life. Like, even if you knew this, oh yeah, that is true about me. There's a reason that you're rediscovering it now and you're going to study it more deeply. And that's the power of astrology when used appropriately. So you always want to use it blended with your intuition. It's a both and situation. Don't blindly follow something without checking in with your heart, which is what I'm going to teach you next after the break. So what you always want to do is feel how it feels in your body. So like I said, you'll receive like, oh yeah, that's me. So that's already your body telling you that that's a truth for you, that that's something to look more deeply into. But yeah, just don't just like read your sign and be like, oh yeah, that's me now, which I don't think any of you would do. But I don't want you to blindly follow some mythical thing just because it's a thing that people do. I want it to empower you, bring you insights in your life, bring you clarity, allow you to more deeply understand yourself, and not only understand yourself more deeply, but also to learn to, hold on, someone wrote in the chat, understand yourself and use this as an empowering tool and use the aspects that are in there that are really powerful to your advantage. Like when you see, oh wow, like when I saw I have all this Capricorn boss energy in my 10th house, I never really thought of myself that way, but other people do see me that way. And when I realized like, oh yeah, this, like I have this boss energy, I just have to tap into it. It's really there. It can help you like find parts of yourself that were there, but that you just were kind of like downplaying, making yourself small, kind of making yourself think that you didn't have that. And then you can be like, wait, no, I do fucking have that. And I'm going to do that. And the universe even wants me to step into that. So that's what I'm going to do. So that's why I love astrology. Let me just see. Okay, sorry. I literally read this 5 minutes late. So Victoria, you have Mars in your 10th house?
Yeah.
Okay, so Mars is Aries energy. Aries energy is the first sign of the zodiac. Aries is that go-getter energy. It's a fire sign. So having Mars in your 10th house means that you can handle new beginnings well in career. You can have a fiery energy when you're starting a new project. That you can have that like fiery aggression, because Mars is aggression, in your place of work. So it doesn't, obviously, when it comes to work, it doesn't mean that you're going to be like fucking in the workplace, but maybe you will.
No.
But
Okay.
always go back to like, okay, like if you're not fully understanding that planet, which definitely look up Mars in the 10th house on your own time. But
Okay.
before you even do that, you can go back to, okay, what sign is Mars related to? Aries. What traits did I write down for Aries? Go-getter, new beginnings, like all those things. Okay, so that energy relates to my career. And what's the element of Mars and Aries? Fire. So I can be fiery in my career. So start to like consider those things.
Okay. And then the signs that are sitting in your 10th house are like the characteristics that excite you for your career? Is that how the
Yeah,
sign?
so you mean the sign, so the planets are on the inside, and then
Yeah,
on the
so
outside, there's a
on the
sign.
outside, yeah, so on the outside I have, like, for example, Sagittarius and Scorpio. So like those characteristics are ones that I would want in my career.
Or just the way that you are seen when you're in your career. So like when you are
Okay.
at your workplace, people will see you acting as a Sag or a Scorpio or a combination of both. So when you're in your workplace, how
Okay.
does the public eye view you? Oh, they see you as like that fiery Sag energy is also a go-getter energy. Sag is also about like freedom and exploration and adventure. So there's an adventurous energy to you and what you do in your work. And then there's like a depth to Scorpio, maybe a little mystery. You can find that out, figure that out for yourself, what feels
Yeah.
true, what kind of mix, but it does have to do with how you're seen in the public eye and in your workplace. And also
Okay.
the traits that you tend to embody at your workplace as well when you're at work.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Again, once you know how to like read it, you can start to do your own rabbit holing around it and mind blowing. So what we're gonna do is take a quick break, get some water, use the restroom, whatever you have to do, because when we come back, we're gonna go into a meditation. We're gonna curve the astrology stuff for now. That gave us some insights to start, and then I'm gonna teach you how to actually connect with your own heart and intuition for the second half. I'm actually going to skip ahead to this. So intuition versus fear tuition, I call it. This is also something that I was taught by my coach, Natalia Benson. So the feeling of an intuitive feeling is going to feel expansive in your body. When you have your eyes closed and you're visualizing an outcome, if your intuition is leading you towards that, you'll feel like lighter and more open in your chest, and you'll feel more expansive. When you're feeling a fear-based thought that you're kind of confusing for intuition, you're going to feel more contracted in your body. So when you think about that consideration, or when you visualize like that outcome, like being with the person versus not, I guess, like do you feel contracted? Are your shoulders kind of coming in and you're in like a more protective state? This can be another way that we can decipher our intuition. So an exercise that can be really helpful in doing this is a chart exercise, one column for intuition, one column for fear tuition. And you would literally just write on both sides, intuition, fear tuition, with a line in the middle. And then you can write all your considerations down on one side or the other based on how it feels in your body. So for example, I could think of, I just had to make I've had to make a lot of big decisions in preparation for this class. It's so funny. The universe was like, okay, do your method again. And I'm like, okay, like it kind of was like forcing me to like keep doing it. So I had to make another big decision last night, and I was going through all of these steps to do it. And this was about going to the Dominican Republic, and I booked my trip. So I am going. So I had to feel into this. I asked my heart, which I'm going to teach you how to do. And then I also visualized the outcome, visualize myself there. Here, freeze back. Oops. I don't know where my mouse is. Here we go. So I visualized myself there, and I was in the Dominican Republic in this Airbnb that I was considering booking and living a life there. And in this vision, how did I feel in my body? Did I feel expansive? Did I feel light? Did I feel free? Did I feel alive? Did I feel excited? Okay, visualize myself coming straight back to Tulum. I'm in Tulum. I just went to Miami for my visa because I have to leave the country because they only gave me a 2-month visa. Unfortunately, I wanted the full 6, so I have to leave. Do I just go to Miami and come back? Okay, visualize that coming back. How do I feel? It's not like I feel bad here, but my body is kind of like blah a little bit, a little slouchy. I'm like kind of like in the same rut almost. So I felt more expansive in my body when I was visualizing myself in the DR. Then I started writing out a list of fear tuition versus intuition. And I was like, okay, what's a consideration? The DR costs more money because the flights are somehow ridiculous, even though it's right over there on a map. I feel into the money constriction. When I think about thinking that that flight is too much and making a decision based off of that, do I feel constricted or expanded? Oh, my expansion side, I mean, that's on the constricted side for me. That was like, oh, that's fear tuition. I'm like not going there because of money. That's my scarcity mindset. That feels contracted. That goes on the fear side. Okay, next one. I'm a little afraid of this. And you just go through and you're like, how does that? Okay, that feels like my fear. That feels like my soul telling me that that's the fucking place I should be. Okay, that goes on the intuition side. So this can really help you too, feeling into your body, because like I said, your body is really intelligent and your body will give you messages viscerally about whether things are right for you or not. One thing to consider about this too, though, is that if you have like a big wound in a certain area, sometimes your body can feel scared around it. So that's why it's important to talk to your heart about this, because if you do have like a wound or a trauma around something, you could, and you're activating that trauma with the situation, you can feel a little bit afraid. Like, for example, afraid of being vulnerable and opening up with this person because you've been hurt in the past when you've done that. So the thought of doing that makes you feel a little constricted. So that's when you go back to your heart, again, which I will teach you how to do, and you ask your heart, is this related to a trauma? Yes or no? You'll receive an answer. Okay. And then you can go into connecting with your inner child or journaling and saying, okay, when was the first time I felt this same emotion? The emotion is betrayal, or the emotion is abandonment, feeling alone. Okay, when was the first time I felt like this? And you can journal and go inward and say, oh, okay, this is related to my childhood. So this is a wound. This is not my intuition. This is my wound talking. So these are some different exercises that you can use to find out, like, why am I feeling this fear? Why am I feeling this way? Where is it coming from? With this intuitive chart, with your body and with your heart connection. Okay. Then a little about the heart connection here. So when we do this, we're going to ground and center ourselves, which I like to do with like root visualizations, which we will do. Sometimes you may need to calm your nervous system before you go into this on your own. 4 square breathing is a very simple and effective form of breath work that you can do to calm your nervous system. So 4 square breathing is just breathing in for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, holding for 4. And it's like a square. So it's 4, 4, 4, 4. And I believe it's the Calm app that has like a little visual to support you with this. I personally haven't used it, but I've heard that recommended for people who want a visual. But this is just a really simple, effective form of breath work that you can do. Also try, like I usually do 3 deep breaths with exhaling out the mouth to exhale out the energy. Anything stuck, I like visualize it like coming out. You can vocalize to get it out. Even this lion's breath. If there's something really in there, I do that, get it out. And then after the 3 or however many I feel like I need, I go to nasal breathing because this calms your nervous system to breathe in and out of your nose. So I will usually do breathing out the nose. So maybe 4 square breathing with the nose after I do 3 deep breaths. This can calm your nervous system. It triggers your nervous system to enter that calm state, get out of your fight or flight. Because if you're doing a heart connection and you're just like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Heart, what do I do? And that's how you ask it. You're not going to be receiving a clear message from it because you're going to be in the fight or flight state and your wires are all crossed, and the message you're going to be receiving is from that fight or flight state. So you're more likely to receive a message from your heart that's related to a wound or your anxiety versus your truth. So that's why it's important to ground ourselves and then to calm the nervous system if we need to. And usually tending to the nervous system first before you go into heart connection. Meditation, because you do want to be in that grounded space. Protection, well, I'm going to kind of just help you visualize a light when we're going through the meditation that will protect you. But a couple other notes: dragon's blood, I highly recommend. I tell all my clients to get this. It's just I have it in incense form. And this I recommend honestly in place of sage. Sage is okay. Sage is great for like cleansing like objects. So say you had like an argument in a space and you wanted to cleanse the energy out of like your furniture from this argument that you just had in here, sage can do that. But I like, in terms of spiritual entities, they don't like sage, and spiritual entities are attracted to me very often because like I shine my light brightly and I'm very open to like communicating with them, and they can see that and sense that. So I've had trouble using sage personally because it pisses them off. They really don't like it. So if you had an actual entity in your home or an attachment, it actually aggravates them and they can start to annoy you more. So like, well, before I learned this about dragon's blood and like how they react to sage, I was saging every night because I had this spiritual entity and it was messing with my lights in my room. They were going on and off like so many times that I had to unplug them from the wall. I would like unplug one lamp and then the next lamp would go, and then I would did that. And then one time I unplugged both of the lamps, and I had a necklace hanging on the opposite side of the room it was like a custom made necklace with this tiny little like light in it that you turn and it turns like purple and multicolor. That turned on by itself. And I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So eventually I had that spirit cleared from me. But what I found out from my medium was that sage, for some reason, really annoys them. So what I thought I was doing, clearing energy every night, was basically just making them like turn my lights off and on more and more and more. Long story long, dragon's blood, I highly recommend. It basically clears energy like similarly to sage, but it's also just a more peaceful energy for anything that may be around you. And you can get that super low cost. And then Palo Santo is for protection. Do your best to get it ethically sourced because actually it's being like farmed in ways that are kind of making it less accessible to us now. So if you can find an ethically sourced piece of Palo Santo, but this is for protection. So what I do for my home and my body is I do dragon's blood first, go around the home just kind of like I would sage a home, and I open the windows and kind of let everything air out for about 30 minutes. And then I close everything up and I do Palo Santo and do a little blessing around my house. And a healer that I work with says that it can protect your house for like 7 days. And I just love the smell of Palo Santo personally. So that's for protection too. And in addition to light, which I will walk you through light protection. Also, repetition is key to building a trusting relationship. So I will teach you how to connect with your heart, but you have to continue connecting with your heart, okay? If you only do it today and then you don't do it again, you're not going to be able to build that trusting relationship with your own heart. It's really important to have like a regular practice where you check back in and you see that you received the same message that you received a few days ago, that you received a week ago, because we can second guess ourselves. We're humans. We second guess ourselves all the freaking time, right? And so the more we can check in with our heart, especially if you're going through something, check in with it every day for now. and see if you keep getting a yes to this thing and you keep getting a not right now or a no to this thing, and your intuition, your body keeps telling you the same thing. Eventually you're going to be like, okay, I've literally checked in with my heart for the past 7 days straight, and every time I've done that, I've received this tingling sensation on my right foot for yes. So am I going to trust that now? Like, okay, I really feel like I don't have a choice, right? Versus if you do it one time and then you can think of all these considerations in your head, like, oh, well, maybe I was just in my wounding that day, so maybe it was wrong. And then you can just find a way not to listen to it. Because we'll try to find a way not to listen to it. Oh my God. Sorry, that was creepy. Now there's like shit in my house. I'm like, wait, no. My lighter just actually stopped working right before this call. That was weird. Anyways, so key to building a trusting relationship. Another key to building a trusting relationship is to actually take the action that your heart is telling you. This might be the hardest part, but when you receive intuitive guidance and you receive guidance from your heart, the next step to be able to trust yourself is to actually take a leap and do the thing. That's why I recommend checking in with your heart every day, every few days for a period of time to make sure that you receive the same message, especially if it's telling you something that feels overwhelming or large or like a big change to you. We don't want to make a rash decision unnecessarily. So make it a practice of going internally and continuing this practice. And then when you keep receiving the same answer, then it's up to you, right? It's up to you to say, okay, I need to quit this job. This relationship isn't working out, or I want to take this relationship to the next level, even though this is triggering my vulnerability wound, whatever. You got to do it. When you leap, when you're receiving that fuck yes feeling in your heart repeatedly, and you know intuitively that that's the way, and you leap towards it, you will see you have to like take that blind leap sometimes. It's not blind actually. This leap will be very well informed leap. Because we don't want to leap fully blindly, right? We want to like, oh, okay, my heart told me to do this, my intuition feels expansive. Yes, okay, I'm gonna do it. That's how you start to really trust yourself, when you take those leaps that your heart told you to take, that your soul told you to take. Like me moving across the country, me moving to Mexico, or when I went to Costa Rica. Another one was not continuing my career and just being off on my own without a stable income at all. Like these types of decisions, or ending a relationship that wasn't working out, even though I loved the person. These, I'm like, okay, I got to do it. And then I have to see. And if you don't take those leaps, you will never be able to fully trust yourself, because you didn't do it. Your soul told you what to do, and then you didn't. So you still will question everything. You will continue to question it all the time, because you didn't do what your soul told you. So you don't know if your soul's right or not, because you haven't done it and given it the time to see. So that's why this is important. Like, build that trusting relationship with your heart, so you can be like, okay, it tells me the same thing every time. And then you have to leap and trust yourself. And then you'll see, you have to give it time and see what happens. And that's why I can trust myself so deeply now, because I personally have an easy time leaping. Sometimes I maybe leap a little too much. So now I've had to create this methodology to like, okay, I know this is an embodied, informed leap and not just me flying free willy-nilly without a groundedness to it. So there's people on, both sides. But I know now from following that it always turns out in the best way possible every fucking time. But I've had to leap so many times and be like, I just know now. Like, I know I can trust it, because I trust myself and I follow my intuition. So that's obviously probably the most challenging part, but the most rewarding part about following it. And yeah, use the rest of your body for further discernment. How does each option feel in your body? We already talked about this and that. Okay, so what we're gonna do is maybe like take a sip of water if you have one available, and get comfortable. I want you to be sitting up with a straight spine, and ideally your feet on the floor, but you can sit with cross legs, crisscross applesauce if you prefer. But if you can have your feet on the floor, that would be great.
I can't really do either of those because.
Oh yeah. Oh. That's okay. That's okay. How are you sitting though? Just can you sit up? Can you sit with your spine up?
I can. I don't want the computer to unplug it. All right. I'm up.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. That's fine. If you can have your spine, because the thing is that when we have our spine like erect, I guess, we are a clear channel. So we actually receive like messages from source through this portal. And so when we are straight and aligned, we can receive the most clarity. So that's why we do the spine thing. And I actually like resisted that for so long because I just want to meditate laying down, you know, it's just more peaceful and that's how I want to do it. So I resisted doing it. And then I was actually like, I can channel now. So I was channeling, AKA like speaking to another entity and or a group of guides of mine. And they were like, yes, the sitting up straight is a thing. You have to do that if you want the. I was like, oh, damn it. Okay, fine, because you told me. So that's why we sit up straight. Laying down though, like is great for like a relaxation meditation. So I tell myself, Kelsey, you can still meditate laying down if you're going to sleep or, you know, listening to some affirmations. But if you're trying to receive messages from spirit, sitting up tall, so your higher self or other spiritual entities, which I will describe and explain after this meditation. So we're sitting up straight here, and I want you to take any movements that your body wants. So I often like crack or roll my neck before I start this because that's my tension point. But any little movements your body wants, just to kind of get your jitters out. And then we're going to settle in and close our eyes. We're going to start with 3 deep cleansing breaths. So we're going to breathe in through the nose and exhale out the mouth. And any noises or sighs that want to come out the mouth, just exhale that energy. So inhale and out the mouth. Any sounds, because this is clearing our energetic field when we do that. Another one in through the nose. Side out the mouth. And third one, biggest breath of your entire day, filling up the belly and the chest. And letting it all go. Amazing. Okay, so finding stillness, keeping your eyes closed now, breathing through your nose. We're going to start by grounding our energy. So you can visualize this coming out of your feet if your feet are touching the ground. If not, you're going to visualize the roots coming from your cervix. I like to visualize them always coming from my cervix and then also my feet if my feet are on the ground. So like from your womb space. And these roots are going to grow down out of you in your mind's eye, out of your feet, and your womb, your cervix, down through the seat below you, through the floor below you, down till they get to the bottom of the building that you're in. And these roots are going to pierce the earth and continue to grow down through the soil, past the rocks, growing deeper, deeper, deeper into the earth, until they reach the earth's core. And you're grounding your physical body and your energy into earth, into Mama Gaia. And as you have these roots connected here, you can kind of just visualize any negativity, any stuck energy in your body coming out of your body through these roots and kind of just being soaked up by the earth and healed. So you can just visualize Mama Gaia kind of willingly taking this off of your chest, out of your body, and just turning it into love light energy. Really grounding our energy, feeling our bottom on the seat below us or the bed below us. And giving gratitude to the earth. And continuing with this grounded energy, this will remain as we visualize a protective white light. So this white light is going to come from the heavens above in a pillar of light. So this pillar of light comes down from the heavens above, gets to the top of our head, and it's going to start melting over our body like honey. So this light is going to melt over the top of our head, melt over our face, melt over the back of our head, our neck, our chest, our shoulders, our back, our breasts, our stomach, our arms, lower arms, hands, lower back, bottom, womb. And this bright white light continues to melt over our legs, our thighs, our knees, our calves, and our feet until our entire body is covered by a protective white light from the divine. And we ask Archangel Michael to come in and please protect us during this meditation and for our higher selves to guide us through this as well, as we're going to be connecting with our hearts more deeply today. Thank you so much. Beautiful. So we're protected and grounded. And now we're going to start focusing on the sensations in our physical body. So first, starting with your nose. I want you to perceive your nose without touching it. So perceive what your nose feels like right now without touching it. So maybe you can kind of feel some airflow coming out of your nostrils and just really bring your awareness to this. What does this feel like? Can you feel the temperature difference around your nostrils? Is one feeling cooler than the other or receiving more air? And what about the tip of your nose? Can you focus your energy there and try to feel it without touching it? Does it have a different temperature? Can you feel any sort of weight? And traveling up to the bridge of your nose, can you perceive what that feels like in the space without touching it? Just bringing our awareness to our physical body on a deeper level. Now we're going to go over to the left eye. Can you perceive your left eye without touching it? Can you feel it? Maybe you can feel the weight of the eyelid or where the eyelid is closing, maybe your eyelashes. Can you perceive the lid's difference from the actual eye? Maybe you can feel it moving a little bit under there. Beautiful. And traveling down to your chin. Can you perceive your chin without touching it? Can you feel its weight, its shape? Can you perceive the air around it, the temperature of the air around it? Beautiful. And when you pay attention to these body parts, can you notice that you feel them more than you were able to before when you focus on them? And now traveling around the jaw, the left side of your jaw, over to your left ear. Can you perceive your left ear without touching it? Maybe you have headphones in and you can feel the pressure of that against your inner ear. Can you perceive the difference in sensation from your earlobe to the upper cartilage of your ear? Maybe you can feel it touching your hair or the temperature. Now we're going to travel down our neck to the skin that's over our heart. So the skin on our chest, over our heart, the left side of our chest. Can you perceive this skin here? So maybe you have a shirt that's brushing up against it. Maybe your shirt isn't touching that area and you can feel the air in the room. And now maybe you can start to perceive your heartbeat here. Can you feel the beating of your heart on your chest? And how it's vibrating out towards your skin. Taking notice of your heartbeat here. Beautiful. And now we're going to go internally. So in your mind's eye, go in to your chest and actually feel, see if you can perceive the organ of your heart, your actual heart in there. Pretend that you're in there and try to feel your heart without touching it or the skin around it. Can you perceive its general size and shape? Can you perceive its beating? Can you perceive its love? Now we're going to start to communicate with our hearts. So in your mind, like you're going to be communicating. You don't have to say this out loud, but you can because you're all muted. But you're going to start speaking to your heart. So I usually start with, hello heart, I love you. And while you're talking, keep focusing on the sensation of your heart. So don't go up into your mind. Stay focused on the physical sensation of your heart that you can perceive. So say, hello heart, I love you, and then just wait for a response. It might speak back to you. You may receive some sort of tingling sensation. You may start to tear up. Just give it time to respond however it wants to. You may start to feel a little lighter, or maybe some increased sensation or intensity. And I want you to continue talking to your heart. So especially when it's your first time talking to your heart, I usually extend an apology and make a commitment. So I usually say, heart, I'm sorry that I've been disconnected from you thus far, and that I haven't been communicating with you and receiving your messages. I haven't really known how. Maybe I've been afraid. So I'm sorry, and I promise from this moment forward to connect with you and to speak with you and talk to you about what's going on in my life so that I can follow my heart and follow you, and we can work together in this life. Because I know that you're here to support and guide me. So have this conversation in your own way with your heart, and I'm going to give you a few moments to do that and apologize for and say and commit to anything that feels intuitively authentic to you right now. Beautiful. So we're going to wrap that part of the conversation up. And you're going to tell your heart that you're ready to receive her messages to you. And you want to start by learning to receive her yes and her no. So you're going to say, heart, can you please show me what it feels like in my body when you say yes to something? And you're going to say that, and then you're just going to wait. Wait for your body to give you a sign. Sometimes it takes a little time. We can be impatient and think nothing's happening. So just be patient. It may just feel like it said yes intuitively, telepathically, or your body may start to tingle or receive a sensation, a ringing in the ear, a warming sensation, even an expansive feeling. So again, just asking your heart to please show you yes, and then wait for its response and tune into that. Sometimes my feet, that was one of the first signs I received from my heart, was kind of like a tingling in one foot over the other. And you can talk to your heart. Your heart has a consciousness. So if you're not perceiving something, you can say, can you please make the sign bigger? And just be quiet and listen. And we're asking our highest selves to support us in receiving these messages as well. Tuning into your actual heart, because your actual heart may shift slightly as well. Some people feel more open for the yes. Now we're going to ask our heart to show us a no. And sometimes your no may be more prominent than your yes. So heart, I would like you to show me what a no feels like in my body, and waiting for a response. For some people, it may beat faster in a more anxious pace for no, and it may beat slower for yes. A lighter versus a heavier feeling. And take some time to learn your body's message, but just sticking with it. And if you've received some sort of response, you can continue to ask and see if it shows you that response again. So now that you've showed no, you can go back to yes and see if you can perceive the difference. Maybe it's a different side of the body, for example. And thanking your heart for doing its best. And you can even give your heart direction if you feel necessary. Asking it to show you in a certain way. But usually our heart has its own, it does have its own method, and we just have to tune into that. And once you start perceiving something, you can start to ask it questions. So if there's something that you're going through or that's on your mind right now, you can thank your heart for starting to communicate with you, and you can ask your heart about that specific situation. So, heart, I'm curious what to do about this, and asking a yes or no, because your heart will respond in this way usually, unless it is a telepathic communicator like mine, in which it can kind of speak in a way. So you can start to play around with asking questions and notice how your heart feels and how your whole body feels. Remember that that expansive light feeling is the intuitive feeling, and the contracted feeling in our body is oftentimes our fear and not our intuition. So being really present to your heart and your body as you ask it these questions. And thanking your heart after each question, and then asking a new question. Beautiful work. Take a few more moments to ask your heart. And when you're done asking questions for now, you can thank your heart for her efforts and just remind her that even if you are feeling disconnected from it right now, that's normal, as you likely have never done this before. So promising her that you will come back to her, whether it's every day or every other day. Kind of, you can even ask your heart, would you like me to visit you every day? See if you can perceive a yes. See what your heart wants you to do, how often she wants you to check in with her, and promise her that you will continue to deepen your connection to her and listen, and you guys will get to a place where you can have very easy communication with each other. So finish up that conversation on your own pace. I'll give you a couple more minutes. Beautiful. And wrapping that up, giving gratitude once again. You can take some deep breaths now. A few more deep breaths. And starting to regain your groundedness here, your presence in the room. So feeling your bottom on the seat below you. Starting to maybe move your neck again. Just increasing your presence here with this group again. And when you feel ready, you can bat your eyelashes open and rejoin. And I would love to hear, you can either unmute yourself or in the chat. Let me know if anyone, firstly, wasn't able to perceive anything from their heart. Sometimes our heart can be blocked. Oftentimes our hearts are blocked. So sometimes it takes a little more time.
I feel like pretty blocked up. That was like weirdly emotional for me also, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yes, it's
But I didn't
very
really get like
emotional.
the yes or no thing.
Okay, but you definitely connected with your heart. If
Yeah.
you're feeling emotional, you definitely connected with your heart. The first time I connected with my heart, I cried as well. Um, because your heart is pure love and your heart chakra is pure love. And your heart literally just loves you so much and it's a part of you. So that's really common. And also, if you can hear me, Bree, like you're also like your body is physically healing right now. So that's something to consider as well. Like you may have some limitations there. Maybe your heart communicates through your your feet or legs and you're healing physically. Okay. So give it some time, but your emotion, that's your heart like communicating to you and through you and expanding. So that's really beautiful and that's powerful. Very powerful. So even if you're not receiving like a specific, this was my yes, this was my no, your heart just like came into your body, you connected with it. And so I would really continue doing that because it's opening you up in a beautiful way. Does anyone care to share? There's no pressure to share, but if you had like something cool happen or did everyone receive something from their heart in some way? Yes, yes.
I think so.
I
Yeah.
think yeah, like I think so. I feel like I was surprised just to like even be able to like perceive my heart like under the skin when you were saying that.
Mhm.
Like I thought I would like not feel anything the first time, to be honest, you know, like I didn't expect anything. And then I kind of, for the yes, I feel like I kind of felt like tingling on my left side, but I don't know if that was just, I'll have to like do it again to see. But it was interesting because I wasn't expecting anything.
Did you say your eye or your thigh?
No, like my whole left side.
Oh, your
So like
side.
yeah. Mostly like my hand and my foot,
Mhm.
but that was yeah, it was surprising.
That is common. Yep. A lot of people, I have hand and foot ones too. But when I realized that mine is mainly telepathic, like because I like want my body to be more obvious sometimes, but like my heart's always just like, I'm just talking to you. Like this is how we talk. We actually talk. So I've learned to, receive her messages in the form of like telepathic communication versus some people who like have an instant like shooting sensation up this way for yes. And they're like, okay, clearly your form of communication is that, right? So it does take a little practice, but know that it is real and it's a thing. And when we develop that relationship, your heart will have an answer for you. And if they're asking something that isn't meant to be decided right now, you may receive nothing. And that can often be like, this is not a question for me to answer, or the time is to wait. So if that happens, you can follow up with a question like, is this not the appropriate time for me to ask this? Is this not the appropriate question type of thing? Is this information not ready to be revealed? And then you can have that yes or no response so that you know why you didn't get a response. So that's how we can start communicating with the heart about those things too. But yeah, amazing. Yay. Victoria.
For me, I'm like kind of skeptical. I'm like a skeptical person.
Yeah, you have that earth energy. That's common.
Yeah. So for me, it was actually like a few things. Like like a brighter light like in my brain, and my like for yes was like tilting upwards and kind of almost like an opening.
Yeah.
Like up.
Oh my gosh, yes. So I actually have been experiencing that too, because I've been like playing with my body because I do this every day, literally. So now I can like I just have conversations with my heart now, and I want to deepen it and I want my body to respond more. So I keep like practicing with it and like really sitting with it, and I notice that happens to me too. Because it's more of like a chest opening.
It is. And then for no, it's like closing, but which makes sense because I deal with a lot of anxiety, and every time I go into like that anxious spot or maybe that's its way of showing like no, no is again like because I'm so used to feeling that anxiety. It's something that kind of is the no.
Totally. And that relates to that expansive and contractive, right? With the intuition as well. So yours are really related in that way. And I feel like also we start to like, the more that we do this, we're like, okay, that makes sense. Like that seemed like a yes. I feel more expanded. And if I'm really real with myself, like the yes would make sense to me. Like, for example, you can kind of start to realize when you're going against your intuition, when you are surprised or like you don't want it to be like I'll pull cards, which is something I'm going to talk about too as like a really amazing thing to add to this is card pulling. When you feel like you're receiving an answer, especially if it's around something big and like you know the answer but you don't want it to be because it means an emotional thing that you don't want to deal with, pulling cards is a surefire way to be like, okay, fuck, like my body did say that because the card also says that. And if my body said that, my intuition said that, the chart said that, my body said that, and this card is reading it to me, so I love to have multiple modalities when you're making a decision to find clarity because your body always will know. That's really the only thing you need. But as humans, we need more concrete things, right? We have varying degrees of skepticism, but either way, we like to see the concrete proof. And so that's why I love cards, because I can check in with my body, then pull a card on it. And I'm usually like, whoa, that was crazy. Or like one time, I think I like pulled the wrong, maybe I picked up a card that wasn't the one I pulled. And I could tell that when my intuition was at play, because when I was reading it, I had this feeling of disappointment, or like my body instantly knew like, oh, and that's how I knew that was wrong. That wasn't my intuition because it didn't light me up at all. I was like disappointed and like, oh, like this had to do with like the moving situation for me. When it's something like that, the emotion of excitement is a compass for you. Because excitement is your soul speaking to you. Your excitement is like your soul being like, yes, that's the way, let's go. And so when I was like, oh, staying in Tulum, for example, and then I was like, oh, wait, that's my soul telling me that that's not the choice that I'm supposed to do because I shouldn't feel blah about it. I should feel excited about it. So lots of ways to perceive from our body. Good job, guys. I know that's it's a new form of connecting with ourselves, but it's really, really powerful. And the more that you do it, the deeper the connection will be and the deeper you'll be able to trust that. Any questions about that or anything else? Okay, amazing job. I'm really proud of you all. So that is your compass, okay? Like you're gonna nail this down and your heart is gonna lead the way. It sounds cliche, but when people say like follow your heart, I don't love that advice because they're not teaching people how to do this. Follow your heart usually means like people perceive it as meaning like who do you love or something, right? But following your heart isn't who do you love, because we can love so many people. I mean, at this point, I feel like I actually love everyone. And I feel that emotion to varying degrees. But love can mean karma, like that feeling of love, especially romantic love, can mean karma. It can just mean that you love them deeply as a person. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're meant to be in a certain type of relationship or not. So when people say follow your heart, like I think that can be misleading because sometimes someone isn't the right partner for us or isn't the right partner for us right now. But we love them. And so we're like, well, I'm following my heart. But really following your heart is more like this, which most people don't do, which is like actually connecting to that consciousness, that part of your body, that chakra, that organ, and seeing what it is telling you, seeing what your body is telling you. And that's following your heart. Sometimes your heart will have something to say that, yes, you love this person, but that like you're not honoring your boundaries with this person. This person isn't honoring your boundaries. Something like that. And it'll have some things to share with you. So beautiful job with this. So this is the number one, but we always want to add more things in there, especially as we're deepening our connection to our heart. So we have this chart exercise, expansive versus contracted, to do. And then we also have spirit. So this is a spiritual breakdown. Here are some main types of spirit: our higher self, our spirit guides, and angels. Our higher self is us. So this is usually the one that I tell people to connect with first. So if you're getting into a meditative state, like we were just in, and you did your light protection and your grounded roots, those are the light and the grounding that I suggest you do every time you're going to get into this state and talk to your heart. Once you get connected with your heart, you can actually bring your higher self into it. So I'm actually thinking about making like a little recorded audio for connecting with your higher self. Now that you guys know how to connect with your heart, there can be a little add-on where I can guide you to connect with your higher self. It's actually pretty simple. I usually kind of visualize like a fairy coming in who's like the color of my highest self. And she comes in and she starts lighting up my chakras. So I don't know if you know what the chakras are, but there's like a crown chakra, a third eye, a throat, a heart, solar plexus in your stomach. In your womb, you have your sacral, and then your root is down there, and they have different colors. And I picture her lighting them up and then coming into my heart. I usually picture her as my soul color, which I think is peach right now. So that's the color I choose, but whatever color just lights you up. And then I take deep breaths and I visualize this peach energy of my higher self, this fairy energy for me, merging with my heart every time I take a deep breath, for 3 deep breaths. And then I start talking to my heart, and I actually hear a different like voice, a different energy talking as my higher self. So your higher self is essentially you, but it's you without your ego and fears. It's your truest essence. So this spiritual entity is you. It's just the you without this human ego stuff in the way. So this is like the most trustworthy you energy of spirit that you can connect with. And that's, like I said, it's usually who I would introduce a client to after the heart connection. The next thing would be the highest self, because it's you. And you can even visualize your highest self. What they might look like and act like, and that even that part of a meditation can be super powerful, to just visualize what your higher self would do in this situation. Then you have spirit guides who are assigned specifically to you. Spirit guides have previously incarnated as humans, so they have personalities. So a spirit guide is essentially a spirit that lived a life and then they no longer have to incarnate on earth. They learned the lessons they had to learn, and now they guide us, but they have personalities. Like my spirit guides will like laugh like at me, but like with me a lot of the time, and they can be like jokester energy. The more you connect with your heart and meditate and higher self, the more you'll start to be able to perceive these too. But this usually comes a little bit later, but everyone can perceive this. Everyone can learn to communicate with their spirit guides. It just has to do with opening your third eye enough to be able to receive their messages. If you're in a meditation connecting with your heart, you can start to play around with this if you're curious. So you can say, okay, I'm curious if any of my spirit guides would like to come in and make themselves known too. So if there's a spirit guide here, you can give me a sensation to let me know. Sometimes, a lot of times, it's an ear ringing for a spirit guide. A lot of times it's an ear ringing, or I get this ear womping for one specific guide. Sometimes the temperature in the room or your body will change. So I have one guide that makes me cold every time. I have one that like womps in my ear. I've had multiple clients with the coldness as well. Oftentimes with some sort of guide. So this is stuff you can play around with on your own and see if you perceive anything here. Hold on. I gotta let her in. Okay. So yeah, this may be completely new information to some of you, but hey, explore it on your own. You don't have to take my word for it. You can see for yourself. It's really cool. And then angels. Angels are light beings that are mainly focused on protection and healing. So the energy of an angel is different than a spirit guide. Spirit guide's kind of like cheering me on, like, woo, you got it, girl. Or they're like laughing at me or with me, not at me, but with me. An angel is, most people believe that angels were not humans. They're just these angelic light beings that are there to protect you and provide healing. So not as much of like a conversation, like a spirit guide, I can actually talk to about things. An angel is more of just like comes in, shines light, protects me. So everyone has a guardian angel. There's meditations you can do to connect with your guardian angel. I've met mine. Her name is Chrisella. She told me her name. She protects me specifically. I don't talk to her, but I can call on her if I'm feeling unsafe or something. Archangels are there for everyone. So even if you haven't met your own guardian angel, you can call on your guardian angel like that. I call on my guardian angel to protect me if you don't feel safe or you're looking for protection or healing. And you can also call on one of the archangels. There's a bunch of archangels. You can look these up online. And whichever like type of support you're looking for, you can call on that specific archangel. So Michael is actually why I have this necklace. This is an Archangel Michael necklace. He resonates with me the most, and this is the symbol for him. So like I call on him like this, and I call on Archangel Michael to please protect me anytime I feel safe, especially when I'm traveling. I always call on him to protect me while I'm traveling, or if I'm experiencing challenging spiritual entity, I call on him, and I've actually seen him in my mind's eye with wings come down, and like my body was like quivering like this in fear, and he like calmed my entire body, and I like my anxiety was gone. So don't underestimate archangels. Very, very powerful energy. And you can look up again the different archangels and find one that resonates with you to call on for support. Another entity I call on is Saint Christopher. He's like the saint of travel. So whenever I travel, I also ask Saint Christopher for support and protection. And calling on spirit. So in meditation, like I said, integrating with the heart connection, you can just call on spirit like during that. Notice the bodily sensations, as I already said, and take note. Always write them down in a journal. You want to start keeping a log of these things. Even if it seems like you're perceiving something really small, write it down and see if you perceive it again the next time. It might get bigger. Pulling cards, like I said, I highly recommend pulling cards and getting a deck of cards that resonates with you. Just intuitively pick the deck. Like find a deck that's a fuck yes. And this card was for you guys. I pulled it today before the call. And it's You Got the Love. It's actually about codependency and boundaries, which we happen to talk about a lot today. I'm going to read this to you. So it's Hadarian energy. Hadarians are believed to be beacons of pure, divine, unconditional love, who see love in all people and all situations. As a result, they can find it hard to have boundaried, interdependent, healthy relationships because they only see the unconditional nature of those that they meet. The lovers of the cosmos, they dive in fast. They're here to learn how to love while in a separate body. They're here to learn to love themselves first and then establish healthy relationships with others. They're here to remember that the love they seek is already within them, that they truly have the love all on their own. The message of this card is to review the ways that you may need to establish healthier boundaries. Perhaps you're in a codependent relationship in which you may be losing your sense of self. It's common for starseeds to dive deep into relationships, particularly with those who feel safe and familiar at a soul level. Perhaps you're in a relationship in which you give more than you receive, or perhaps there's a certain volatility to it and you're always unsure where you stand. This card is a sign to do a relationship review and to see what energetic agreements you have made, consciously or unconsciously. To acknowledge if there are relationships in which you feel anxious or powerless, in which you don't feel like it's safe to relax and just be yourself. to assess if there's any places of inadequacy that you've used a relationship to soothe and cover up. I'm going to repeat the last sentence again. It's important to assess if there's any places of inadequacy that you've used a relationship to soothe and cover up. So this is really common in codependency. We can use the energy of being in a relationship because it takes our attention and focus off of inadequacies that we feel within ourselves. So a lot of times we focus too much on the person or the relationship because we're actually avoiding something in our life that we don't want to handle, that we're not fully satisfied with. So are you fully satisfied in every other area of your life is a really important question to ask when you're in a relationship, because we can use the relationship to kind of just distract us from, oh, maybe I don't love my career. Oh, maybe my house is a mess. So I'm going to focus on this person texting me back or whatever, but maybe there's something that needs to be handled or something that my soul just isn't lit up by right now, and I'm distracting myself a little bit from it. Or maybe there's a piece of me that I'm not fully loving and it's being mirrored back from that person. Relationships are mirrors, so oftentimes if the other person has a problem with us, it's actually something we believe about ourselves. So I actually dated a guy who broke up with me and said it was because of my physical appearance. And it was not the best reason to receive. And I had to, and this doesn't make it okay to be treated this way. And if I take the approach that relationships are mirrors, I realized that I was holding that belief about myself. I was having trouble with my self-image physically. And so that was literally being reflected in my partner. I subconsciously chose someone who felt that way about me. That's how we can attract people. And that's often how we mirror ourselves to each other. So when someone has like a consistent like complaint or challenge with you, just think about it in reverse and ask yourself, like, is this a reflection of how I feel about myself at all? Or the same thing with how the challenge you're having with them, just like the challenge they're having with you. Think about it as a mirror and see if you hold that belief about yourself too. That can be really insightful and indicate a place that healing wants to take place within you. So this card was chosen for you. So consider this. And this is really common too, is we unconditionally love, and so we want to love everyone, and we do love everyone, and we're able to love everyone. We're able to see past the patterns and the wounds, but is this actually something that's like within boundaries for me and healthy for me, is something to consider ourselves, not just because we unconditionally love them. And know that the love that you seek is already within you. So again, if there's an area where you're feeling unloved, how can you give that love to yourself? Look up your love languages. If yours is acts of service, can you write yourself a letter with all the things that you genuinely love about yourself and give that love language to yourself? If your love language is gift giving, can you buy flowers for yourself? Like acts of service, can you go get a facial or whatever it might be? Like give that love to yourself, and that will take away the pressure for the relationship to provide that to you and help you find self-love and wholeness within you, which will ultimately help all of your relationships. So noticing all of those areas where you may be seeking something from the person that you can actually give to yourself. A note about pulling cards. Selenite is a crystal that cleanses energy. It also can charge your other crystals. So when you're in between pulling cards and asking questions, I run the selenite over the cards to cleanse the energy. So for example, I take it and I just go through like this on both sides. Then I ground my energy with the root visualization and the light. And then I connect with my heart, ask my heart the question. I visualize the energy coming out from my arms, coming out from my heart, down my arms and out my hands. And then I shuffle. That's how I pull cards. That's intuitively do it in your own way. But there's some basics about connecting with your energy and also cleansing the energy, because if you had really strong energy asking about something and then you like gave cards to someone else and they weren't cleansed, the energy from you and your heart could still be in there, and they could possibly pull a card that was related to like your previous question. So that's why we cleanse with selenite. So just a note about that. Another way you can test your heart intuition is to flip to a random page in a book. So if you don't have cards right now, you can intuitively choose a book, kind of say like, okay, which book is calling to me? Go to your bookshelf, whatever. Pick one up. Ask your question. Ask spirit to please support you. Or if you don't feel comfortable asking spirit, ask your heart to support you in flipping to a page that will support you in this question. Ask the question, be really intentional, flip to a page and look at a spot on the page and read it. This can be like a card reading as well, and you can receive some insights and answers from doing that too. It's actually really freaking cool. So that's another thing. Also, making direct requests, your voice is very powerful and we have free will, okay? So that means that our guides can't do all the work for us because we have free will. They can guide us, that's why they're called guides. But if we want their direct help with something, or we want direct support from a guardian angel or like an archangel, we have to ask them. They have certain parameters around our free will. So when you're really looking for support with something, say it with your voice and write it down. I would really love to receive clarity around this thing in this way. Please give me a clear sign in this way, or please support me in feeling more at peace around this, or whatever it is. Say it and watch how they show up for you. Also notice angel numbers. I forgot to make a little bullet point about angel numbers, but numbers are ways that spirit can communicate with us because they're everywhere. So it's a very common way that people start to receive messages from their guides as they start to notice repeating numbers. And a lot of times when we first start to notice it, we think it's just in our head. Oh, well, I could have just thought I saw 22 yesterday, so then I was already looking for it today. But, even if you have that skepticism, that's okay. Just look up the number anyways. If you've seen a number multiple times that's caught your attention, a repeating number, look it up because they all have meanings. It doesn't just mean that your spirit guides are around. It also means that there's a message. And each angel number has a different message. I grew up in 46 and I used to see 46 everywhere, and it took me years to finally look it up. And then I found out that it means to stop stressing about money, because when you're in alignment with your soul purpose, the money will come. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's wild. And as soon as I switched careers, I stopped seeing 46 and I only started seeing repeating fours. Repeating fours means you're on your divine path. And I didn't know that until I looked up the meaning of 444. So I could have been skeptical, but once I looked it up, I knew I wasn't making that up in my head because I could tell I was in alignment with my path, and that's what the fours said. So pay attention to numbers around you too. And always expressing gratitude, just thanking spirit when you receive a message. Being in a state of gratitude always kind of a given. So just a little recap here. Your heart and intuition hold the truth. This is where the truth is. A lot of times we kind of know intuitively already, but we need these extra, or we crave these extra ways to feel the clarity. And it will lead you in the right direction, but it won't give you the end result answer. So this is an important distinction, because I do this and I say, can you just show me like who my husband is, that I definitely have children, like the things that I want. Just tell me who it is. Is it him? Yes or no? Like, what? But there are lessons that we have to learn to grow. If we were told all of our final destination answers, yep, this is your husband, you're going to have these kids, we're going to be doing this, your business is going to be this and this, we wouldn't live the path necessary to get there. And the road to that is part of our soul's growth, because we're all here to grow and evolve as a soul. So if we were given all the final destination answers, we wouldn't learn the lesson. We can't shortcut like that. So it's important to know that your heart will lead you to the next step, but it's not going to show you the final answer. So you have to trust that when you follow your heart and your intuition, you're going to go where your soul needs to go. Sometimes that might hurt a little bit. And with that pain and challenge comes alchemy, comes transformation, comes your soul's growth, comes what is meant for you in your life. Connecting with your heart is a beautiful thing to do when you feel unclear about things to pursue. I put examples like mystical tools, coaches, healers. Like if you're looking for someone to support you, ask your heart. Your heart and intuition will tell you who that person is, if that person's aligned for you or not, if that would support you right now or not. I guess this could go with any course you're considering taking. You can literally use heart connection for everything. I use it for like every decision that I make. And again, I already mentioned this, trust and follow your fuck yes. You have to build up the trust, and then you will have a fuck yes life when you actually follow the fuck yes. Your life will eventually be a fuck yes life because you followed the fuck yes. But you have to follow the fuck yes to get to the fuck yes life. So that means you have to jump and leap sometimes to get to the fuck yes. So just trust me that it works, but you just have to do it. So that is that. This went like really over. Your girl knows how to talk. So yeah, I just get so excited about this stuff, and I have so much more that I just want to support you with. I'm like, I want you to meditatively connect with your future self. But actually, this is actually a perfect segue because this is involved in my bonus offer to you. Actually, now that I think of it, this is in there. It's really cool. So I will have time for questions after this, but I want to share this with you. So I have a couple things. One is you may have seen my Release and Receive retreat before. This is a virtual retreat. It's 2 days long. Me and my best friend / coach friend, Kathina, she's also a yoga instructor. She and I co-created this last year. It's 2 full days of different, basically going internally, and it's called Release and Receive. So it's all about releasing what's no longer serving us, stuck energy, and receiving and connecting and aligning with our purpose and with our path. So there's things like EFT tapping. I don't know if you've ever seen me do that or are familiar, but it's like a tapping technique where you say things while you tap certain meridian points of the body and release energy and reprogram your subconscious mind. So I teach you that in there, and you do exercises for that. There's meditations, there's journaling prompts, there's yoga, there's different movement exercises, and I do a dream life creation workshop in there, where I actually guide you through a set of guided meditations into your future self at different points in your life to really tap into that energy of what your soul wants to create next and what you see for yourself. And then I teach you how to start manifesting that. So we go into manifestation techniques as well. So this is available for $99 already, but anyone who attends this class will just receive it for $44 if you're interested. You just have to Venmo me. So that's just something that comes from attending the class, because this brings you even more clarity, and that future self visualization is really powerful. That dream life workshop is really powerful, and that can really be supportive to you. So that's something to consider if you're interested in going even more deep into this and learning some other practices that can help you release some of the stuck energy. Like the tapping is really awesome if you tend to have trouble with anxiety. That is really great for releasing anxiety, and manifestation techniques as well. So there's that. And I just need, your email address, and you can just write RRR for Release, Receive, Retreat. But I have an announcement that I'm making to you guys early. I haven't announced this on my social media or business page yet, because I'm still like working with a graphic designer on it, and I'm actually taking a course that's going to help me ground my vision. And it's just so important to me that I want to take my time. But I'm going to explain it to you. And if you're interested and you know that you're in and you secure your first month, I will give you the retreat for free, because I would love for you guys to take the retreat before you start, because it's just so centering and grounding these 2 days. You disconnect from your phone, so you're like offline and you're just focused on you. And I'm telling you, even just disconnecting from your phone for 2 days, that does wonders. But it's really insightful and powerful and cleansing, and to do that before you go into another thing is powerful. So it's a program. It's called Fuck Yes Academy. So this is my new membership, and it's a monthly membership program. It's all about connecting with your inner fuck yes. And I'll be teaching a monthly masterclass every month in there on a different topic, but in a similar realm. So a lot of things about self-love and healing and attachment styles and spirit and all of these things, but kind of like expanded into different realms and really connecting with your fuck yes, manifestation, subconscious mind work, all of that stuff. So there'll be a monthly theme with a masterclass. Then there'll be a tapping Tuesday video where I will send you all a tapping video. So you'll have like a tapping audio and visual to follow every month to go with the theme. And then there'll be a monthly mystery magic, which will either be a guest speaker, a masterclass, like a full moon ritual, women's circle, something that's a mystery, but it's something magical every month. And you'll also have an online support community group where you can talk to each other, form connections, and we'll talk throughout the month as well. So this is my general overview of Fuck Yes Academy. And if you knew that you were interested, it's going to be probably $55 a month. That's what my heart keeps telling me. But I just really wanted to honor people who like trusted in me and came to this class. So if you want to be in when it starts, which won't be for a couple of months, but you could just Venmo me 33 and you would get release and receive for free now. And you can schedule a weekend or 2 days when you can do it before it starts. But anyone who attended this masterclass who signs up before it starts will receive the first year for only 33 a month. So all of you will get a discount if you want to come, really big discount, and your whole first year will be only $33 a month. So if you want to come, I would love to have you. And all you have to do is let me know, send me a message if you want to come, and I will honor that price for you. But yeah, if you send me 33 in the next 24 hours, I'll send you the retreat. Or if you just want the retreat at some point in time later, it's 44 for you guys, and you can let me know that too. So that's my announcement. I'm really excited and wanted to share that. Thank you so much for staying this whole time too. This was really long, and I really appreciate your presence and trust. And I'm really grateful for all of you for making it here. So let me know if I can support you with a question before we log off. You can just unmute yourself if you want. A lot to integrate, probably.
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say thank you so much, Kelsey. This class was amazing. Like, I really enjoyed it.
Yay, thank you. You're so welcome.
Yeah, thanks.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were talking about, I think the selenite, is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do you have somewhere that you get like crystals and things from? Because I've heard like you don't want to get something that's like fake, right? So
Yeah. From my experience, crystal shops, especially a selenite stick, isn't going to be fake at a crystal shop.
okay.
That would be really hard for it to be fake, I think. Yeah, especially selenite, I wouldn't worry. I can kind of show you what it looks like too. It kind of is like has layers, and it can kind of break a little bit easily. And it usually comes in a stick. This one particularly isn't a stick, but it's usually like a little wand stick. And if you go to any crystal shop and you go in and it like has nice energy, they usually sell like cards, Palo Santo crystals. I would definitely trust it there. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe online would be a little more dicey, although Etsy does have some good crystals. If you wanted to get it ordered, my favorite one, which I actually misplaced, but I think my mom found it, is like this moon shaped selenite. It's just like she polished it into a little half moon, and I got that off Etsy, and I really love that. So Etsy is good, and they have a bunch of reviews too, so that's a good place to shop if you're looking online too.
Just a thing I thought was interesting. I like quickly Googled my like number or whatever, which happens to be my birthday also, but like 223, and it was like spiritual 223 spiritually means the pain that you are facing now will someday become your happiness. It's like, that's interesting.
Oh yeah, because I mean, you're going through a process. I'm not going to share.
A world of interestingness. Yeah.
You're in a portal, baby.
Oh, man.
I love that. It's reassurance. Yes. This stuff does not happen for no reason. These challenging points in our life are not happening for no reason. I promise you. This is a part of your growth and transformation. But it's going to keep happening if you're not listening. That's the thing. You have to listen to, why am I feeling this way? Is this related to something that happened in my childhood? Is this related to a core wound? Am I not honoring my boundary? Why am I continuing to just do the same thing over and over? Like, what is being asked of me? And meditatively asking your heart is really powerful to figure this out. But there is a reason. Sometimes change needs to be made. And then when you make the change, it's like, oh, you can breathe again. So just trust that, like, the challenges are here for growth and evolution. We just have to listen. And sometimes we just have to stay the course. Like for me, like when I had all of my stuff stolen, like right before I moved here, I was like, okay, I know, I trust this. This sucks. And I trust that I'm in a portal right now of transformation and out with the old and in with the new. And I'm just going to keep going inward and ask myself, is there anything else I need to learn about this? How do I relate to my physical, like, belongings? Do I treat them with respect, or am I kind of careless about them? Is that being reflected in why they were taken? Or do I have poor boundaries and I give too much to others? And maybe is that why my things were taken? Like, these are things to kind of inquire about if you have a situation, and ask yourself, like, that definitely happened for a reason, because that's a big, crazy thing that happened. Why could that have happened? And how could that relate to how I relate to myself and others? So there's always a lesson. Journaling is my biggest recommendation for this. You won't know the answer, and you just start to write. Just start writing. My intention in writing this is to find out this, and then just let your hand go. Just write. Don't think about it, and it'll come out. Pretty much every time I do that, I'm like, whoa, I have the craziest realizations just from doing that. So I recommend that too. Okay. What, Bree, do you have another question?
No.
I love you.
I'm thinking about what I'm gonna eat now.
Okay, perfect. I know you're probably.
Oh,
also...
me too. I'm starving.
It's 10 o'clock at night here.
Okay, please eat, nourish your body, hydrate. Please hydrate. And I love you so much, and I'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Bye.